Are you ready to have a look around Audi Forum Neckarsulm then? Ducati logo on your R8 airbox. Big thanks to Mathias Noedling for telling us all about the B7 RS4. That marks the end of project RS4. Hello and welcome back to the volkswizard channel, and welcome to part 2 of the Project RS4 Back to the Factory road trip video. In part 1 we thundered across Belgium and onto the German Autobahn network, where this 196,000 mile RS4 cruised at a perfectly legal 150 miles per hour with utter ease before returning to the Neckarsulm plant where it was produced nearly 2 decades ago. Well, in today's video, we're going to go into Audi Forum Neckarsulm, which is the factory's visitor centre. It's open to the public, it's completely free of charge, and it's a brilliant stopover if you're driving across southwest Germany. And because it was just so easy to get back to the factory, we point Project RS4's cherry black nose southbound towards the snow-capped Swiss Alps in search of some of the world's best driving roads. But first, let's get started with some inside info on the B7 RS4, courtesy of Audi Sport engineer Mathias, who worked on the development of this iconic car all those years ago. Okay, I'm here with Mathias Noedling, who's worked for Audi Sport, previously known as Quattro GmbH, for over 2 decades, and he just about caught the development of the B7 RS4, and because of that he's got some information in his head that's probably never been in the public domain that we're going to talk about today. Just tell us a bit about your career with Quattro GmbH and Audi Sport.
Yeah, I started as a young engineer in 2004 to the Quattro GmbH, responsible for the construction of wheels and tires. And so after 4 years I became a new offer to make some responsibility for the technical project manager. And I started with the RS4 next generation B8.
Have you continued with that job with the later generations like B9 and B10, or have you moved into another?
Involved in parts of the time.
Yeah.
Not the same, not the long, short, but always, and the next generation also as well.
Okay, brilliant. Right, let's start with some questions then. I drove a B5 Audi RS4 myself for a few years, and ignoring my opinions on it, the general perception of the motoring press in the UK, maybe not in Germany, was that it had an amazing engine, but the chassis was quite poor. How did you turn that around so convincingly with the B7 RS4, which was unusually popular for a Quattro car with UK motoring journalists, considering it was basically the same platform?
It was a little bit adjusted platform, though the B7 is adjusted for more weight and for other concept in engine and deep and train drive. It is a V8 possible car, and the stiffness of the subframe and the front end was much higher than in the B5. So it was really a big step. Yeah. And you see it also in the fact that in this generation we also can offer the customer a cabriolet.
With the B7, you introduced dynamic ride control, suspension with the hydraulically connected dampers on either corner. What was the main benefit of that over traditional springs and dampers?
We launched it with the generation RS6 before.
C5.
C5.
Yes.
And the B7 was the second generation of the DRC development. It was the next step, and it was much better, I think. The great benefits are about it's very simple. It's not so heavy in the car, and you can reduce the rocket movements and the nodding extremely good. And we weren't able to get more forces on the damping, and so the car feels more stiffer also as well. It was very good for the track.
The track?
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought that. I thought it might be there for comfort. That's really interesting to know.
Yeah, that was the target, to make it trackable. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I remember the brochure had the car on the track, so it made sense that it had been designed in some way to be better on there.
Yeah.
The B5 RS4 had a very wide track, and that continued to some degree with the B7 with the flared wheel arches. What was the main dynamic benefit of putting the wheels so much further out compared to the normal?
Yeah, so we are able to get more width in the tire and in the rims, so we can make more torque and performance getting on the street, of course, and our points of weights and so will go down to make it more dynamic, especially for the transverse dynamics, of course.
So it's better for lowering the center of gravity of the car.
That's right.
I never thought of that.
And the width of the tires and rims in the B7, it was a new dimension. It was 9 inch by 19, and the B5 inches are only 8.5 by 18.
Oh, really?
I think. Yeah.
That's interesting because the B5 looks wider with the flared arches, but the actual wheels are...
That is one reason it was not necessary to get so many offset on the wheels.
Okay.
You spoke about 29 to 20.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because the 20 number is really unusual in a production car. And does that have any negative effects on the steering to put the wheels so far out?
For the forces steering back to the zero. Yeah, that's a compromise between that.
That explains why the way the steering always felt slightly peculiar in the B5 generation car.
It is easier to get the point of the curve and the outcome of the curve.
Okay, that explains a lot. Famously, the B7 RS4 had a rear-biased Quattro system, the Torsen diff. So I think it was 60% to the rear, 40 to the front.
It was the first time Audi decided to distribute the torque new. Before it was always 50 by 50.
50 by 50,
also
right.
in the RS4 B5. But it's for an RS, it was the first time we distribute the torque in 60 to 40 rear.
Yeah.
And it was really a big number to increase the dynamic. So we have created a new torque type C component in the manual gearbox, and so we can adjust this with highly axial forces, and then with friction disc, and they made it 60 to 40.
Okay, so that's in the gearbox.
It's in the gearbox, in the manual gearbox, on the end where the drivetrain goes to the rear.
So it's nothing to do with the rear differential.
No.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you say the main benefit of shifting the rear bias?
Yeah, it was in the base application. The car feels more dynamic and make more gearing in the rear, not so front heavy.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what you want when you've got a V8 out the front.
It was easier to control the gearing angle in the front when you see the track, and the rear has supported you.
Yeah. So when you say the steering angle or the gearing angle, gearing of the steering.
Yeah.
Was there any body-in-white strengthening for the RS4 compared to the S4? We know it's stronger than the B5 RS4.
Yeah. I think we had designed a new frame in the front.
Subframe?
No, the front end frame.
Oh, okay. So bracing the chassis legs.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was more stiffer, I know, because two reasons. One reason is the lower force level in the ground. We reduced or increased, and the second reason is the cooling elements, radiators in the left and in the right.
Yes.
So they are heavier than in the S model, and so we have to make it stiffer, but not in body and white.
Right. What other vehicles did you benchmark when developing the B7 RS4? Other competitors like M3?
M3, of course, and AMG always. The two brands you have to tell. By AMG, it was a change between C32 to C55, I think. In the beginnings of the development, it was perhaps a 6-cylinder competitor, and after that, it was an 8-cylinder.
But that was only available with an automatic gearbox?
Yeah, only.
So was there ever any consideration to go to automatic with the B7?
The success of the Predecessor, and in the B segment, it was nicer for the customers to make a driver orientation, and so you have to go with manual. Also, the gearbox is more lighter than an automatic.
Right, so, which is important when you've got a
and that was also a differentiation to the C segment in the R6.
Right, yes. If you really wanted a manual, you went for the B7 RS4. Yeah. If you wanted an auto. A key feature, which is very unusual for a V8, is the high revving nature of that engine. What did you do to the engine to make it so lively at the top end compared to the S4 engine, which was more like your traditional 4.2 V8 from an Audi A8.
Yeah, Audi decided to tune up this engine over the high wheel concept. And for that, you have to change all the movement components inside.
So valves,
the
springs,
valves,
pistons,
the cylinder head, the connection rods, the pistons, the crankshaft. And it was really a target to get this engine over 100 horsepower per 1 liter displacement. That was a target. We did it with to reduce the internal friction to a minimum. So with new oil pump and so on. It was really, and then the durability of the piston speeds in longitudinal. So the engine was very quick with 8,250 rounds per minute, I think. And that was really a challenge,
It's very poignant with Audi just about to embark on their F1 season for the first time, that an engineer, probably some of you worked with, was interviewed in 2005 when the car came out, and it said the RS4 had the piston speed of a Formula One car.
It was amazing
Was it?
at this time, really.
It's only just dawned on me that the car is a 4.2 litre with 420 metric horsepower, so it is exactly what you said. Yeah, 100 horsepower per litre of displacement. So you've lived through the B7 RS4 for all its life. You must have a favourite aspect of that car, that a fond memory.
The first is a combination for the starting process, the key and the bottom.
Yes, very good point.
Very iconic, I think.
Yeah.
And the second is the racetrack seats. They are pumped.
They are.
And the side panels when you switch off the bottom of Sport.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And the big whole thing, I think, is a combination for a manual car with this sound.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Well, big thanks to Mathias Noedling for telling us all about the B7 RS4 and hopefully telling you something you never knew about that car. Mathias has just got his phone out to show me his car, and like a lot of engineers, he's got a really cool car. So he's got an Avis Silver B5. Is it standard?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
How many
really
miles? How many miles?
100% original.
Really? That's very unusual for those.
Yeah.
And how many miles has it done, or kilometres?
135,000.
Wow. Okay. How long have you had it for?
Since 12 years.
Okay. And what drives better, B7 or B5?
I have not a comparator every day, but I think the B7.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that engine is spectacular. Partly because it's British.
Okay, that's right.
Just thought I'd show you this award that the B7 RS4 won back in 2006. So it's Sport Auto, which is a very reputable German motor magazine, and it won the category F. I think limousine means saloon cars, up to 90,000 euros. Okay, are you ready to have a look around Audi Forum Neckarsulm then? So you're on a road trip, you're crossing Germany, put it in your sat-nav, check it's open of course, you'll park in this multi-storey car park, which is a good place to car spot because you'll often see some very interesting Audis in there. You'll cross this bridge and then you'll come in through these doors and you will be presented with this desk, but it's pretty self-explanatory. This is a shop which is actually heaving at the moment with Audi F1 merchandise. So they partnered with Adidas for this range of stuff. It's not cheap, but it's really good. And then there's other souvenirs, not necessarily F1 related, in this bit of the shop. So the usual bags, umbrellas, towels, t-shirts, jackets, kids stuff, umbrellas. That's a really nice bag actually. So yeah, everything you want with Audi on it. And then we have the espresso bar. So it's perfect for cafe and kuchen, cakes and coffee. If you want more food, then there's the new Volari restaurant down there, which obviously does, proper lunches. Down here, we have the new car collection. So a bit like Autostadt for the Volkswagens, you can order your new Audi to come here. Well, you can if you live in anywhere but the UK, probably Austria and Germany. I think Someone's just collected a really nice green RS3 Vorsprung. And down there is a cinema. But let's go down and have a look at the new cars. Let's just start with them as they're presented then. So Audi A5 Avant. So the A5 is now the Estate and the Sportback, I think. So that would have been the A4 in the past. That's the new A6. So they're both went into production in mid-2025 at the same time because they're platform sharing between the A4 and the A6 now, and that saves money. That's the first time that's been done. We have the Q5, we have the Q3, we'll come back to that one in a sec, and then another Q3 down there. So they've all changed since I've really last seen these. This is a very interesting sort of browny black colour. What colour is that? Madeira brown metallic. I think that's coming over on the camera. Q6 e-tron. Okay, so this is an NSU Prince from I think 1953. It's an apprentice project and they've converted it to electric. So this was a rear-wheel drive, a rear-engine car, and it's been modernised. I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, NSU Prince. And it's got 240 metric horsepower now. It would have probably been about 40 back in the day. This is a C8 RS6 Avant that they dismantle to check for quality after something like 10,000 miles, so with the electronics mainly. So you can see all the panels have been taken off, which exposes all the electronics. Right up there is an amazing exhibition. Maybe not for everybody, but for me it's a dream come true. We're going to come to that right at the end. Now let's have a look at the Audi exclusive studio. There are lifts, by the way, so you don't have to go up the stairs. If you want an Audi that's not like anybody else's, you can come here. You can do it at your dealer in the UK, but we only do exterior colours in the UK. Other markets, they can do interior trim, floor mats, wheels, and of course the paint. And you can come here and see the paint samples, see other cars in Audi exclusive finishes and decide what you want for yourself. Probably the most interesting one to you guys is this Audi RS3 Saloon that is in a new paint colour. It's Daytona Grey, which is one I'm sure you'll be familiar with, but it's matte polar. So it's different to the previous Daytona Grey matte, and it looks really nice. I normally don't like these matte finishes, but this one looks spectacular on this car in this spec with those wheels. Carbon mirrors. Let's have a look inside. Okay, so there's not much exclusive on the inside of this car. This has just got the option packs that give you a bit of colour. Those amazing floor mats, which I'm not sure we can get in the UK. But yeah, this looks beautiful. The only thing it really needs is some Alcantara on that centre console to match the seats, and then I could be sorely tempted. Here we have the RS-Q8 Performance then, so 640 horsepower, is it? Yeah, 640 metric horsepower. It's in Shiraz Red, which is a classic Audi colour, and this car is something like 210,000 euros with this spec, but it is pretty special. Over here we have the S5. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm a bit rusty on these. Yeah, S5 Saloon. So 367 horsepower, and this one is in Black Magic, which I'm told is the Black Magic that we used to love. I think, was it on Mark III or Mark IV Golfs? This is interesting because it's got this red interior as well, which apparently isn't particularly popular in Germany, but it's really popular in the Arab countries. It's got the Audi exclusive logo on there, and that's the customization on the floor mats, and so we've got a small bit of piping and a stitch there as well. This is Panther Black, which is on an A6 Avant, and this was a colour, standard colour back in the day, probably about 10 to 15 years ago. It's very hard to appreciate it in this light, but it's a crystal effect paint and it's very, very special. And inside we have the new violet leather, so it's a very dark purple colour that's just been launched. You can probably see it better in the Alcantara there on the centre console. That's really nice. And we'll finish off with this Sepang blue. So remember that colour from about 20 years ago on this RS e-tron GT. So not only is it an Audi exclusive colour, it's got an interior as well. Did you see it raise itself up then? But what is very interesting is we have the new carbon, which you'll have seen probably on the new RS5, which is called Camo Carbon. Apparently that's the official name on it. It's a bit Marmite though. You either love it or you hate it. It's not as universally loved as the traditional, look at it go down again, carbon. Okay, now let's have a look in the Audi exclusive studio, where you come to have a look at samples of the leather or the paint. So here we have the communication colours. Apparently popular right now is the dark greens. Brown had its day a few years ago, but greens are very strong. We've got some inlays here as well. We've got some leather. You can feel it and touch it in here. This is apparently cognac. And yeah, you can even smell it. And then we have all the different examples of stitching, different colours. Here you can see the threads there. So you can really make your car stand out if you come here. And then if your colour's not there, if you want a particular, like an older colour, they have them here as well. So these are the blues. So let's pick one that I can recognise. Sprint blue, there we go, the old RS4 B7 colour. And this is the paint sample that you'll get here in the Audi exclusive studio if you want to see what cherry black looks like. This is real paint, and they only exclusively use BASF paints for Audi exclusive cars. So yeah, that's the colour of my car. And this is the interior colour, classic red. So this is the combination we have on my RS4. Now the R8 has always been an alternative to a Porsche 911, and I think for the next few months, up until about June, but do check, this Audi Forum is a good alternative to the Porsche Museum if you're an R8 fan, which of course I am. So the exhibition begins with the Le Mans concept car from 2003. This made massive headlines. It was a real shock that Audi would do this, but it's off the back of the success of the TT. Little did we know it would go into production looking pretty much like this, apart from those weird headlights. And I know designer Frank Lamperty has got a production car that's in this colour that's as close to the concept as you could get. Slightly differently, from 2004, which is well before the R8 was launched, we have this car that was in the film called I, Robot, and it's meant to be representative of the R8 in 2035. So under there is the R8 space frame, clad slightly differently. Yeah, the wheels look really weird. There were 3 made for the film. This was the one used for the driving. I think there was one used that was crashed, and there's one for interiors as well. Apparently it ran on balloons. I'll have to see the film to see what they actually meant by that, but you can definitely see the R8 profile in there, and that was a little taste of what was to come, because we'd already seen the concept at that point. A few years later, this is a very classic early R8 in silver with gated manual gearbox. Over here we have the car from Iron Man 2 from 2010, which is a V10, and it was to promote the fact the Spider was available, and that first was available with the V10 engine. This is one of my favourite R8s. It was a normal production car, but very, very rare. LMX in Arrow Blue crystal effect. One of my favourite R8s of all time. V10, S-Tronic, the really fast changing gearbox. Over here we have the R8 GT from 2010, so this was like a racing car really, very probably closely related to the racing cars we're going to see shortly down there. V10, R-Tronic gearbox again, coilover suspension, bucket seats, harnesses. I think this one's got a roll cage, yep. So it's really hardcore car. I think they just made 333 of them. I don't know if it's getting collectible yet, like Porsche GT cars, but it bloody well should do. It's a lot rarer than those. Here we have a car that makes some of the people here very sad, because it's the last ever R8 to roll off the production line from the 22nd of March 2024, so look at that, 6th of November 06 when they started making them. 22nd of March 24, and is that just 44,418 in total? This is the rear-wheel drive version of the R8 V10 last shape. There was an earlier one called the RWS, rather confusingly, based on the pre-facelift. This is the V12 TDI concept car. So I remember this. I don't remember it being so bling with the side skirts and the chrome wheels, but yeah, in there is a very punchy diesel engine producing, well, 500 horsepower, but the torque, 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Wow. And then another drivetrain here, we have electric with the Audi R8 e-tron from 2016. Looks pretty cool. Whether we'll get an R8 type car with an electric motor, nobody seems to really know, but that looks, yeah, very production ready. Another one that you probably don't know about, I think this is a one of one as well, like these other cars. Basically, they took the V8 engine and they gave it to Ducati, who are within the Volkswagen group, the motorcycle manufacturer, the Ferrari of motorbikes, and they worked on it and they made it rev up to something like 12,000 RPM. It peaks at 700 horsepower at 10,500 RPM. 7-speed Tiptronic, apparently. So it's called Desmodromische Ventilsteuerung, which is something to do with the valves. I don't know what SHDZ stands for, but that is really special. Have a look at the engine. Ducati logo on your R8 airbox. And then over here we have the racing cars. So we have the R8 LMS. This is a customer racing car. Audi would make it, you could race it. Very successful car from 2012. That one, V10 engine, very similar to the ones on the road cars. You could get it serviced at your Audi dealer. This is the GT3 from 2020. You'll have seen this racing at Spa, Nürburgring 24 Hour. It did really, really well with Team WRT from Belgium. This is the GT4, so the least complicated racing car, but it still looks amazing. And then here we have the GT2, the most complicated, sophisticated racing car from 2020. Look at all that, what's going on that bonnet there, and, well, trunk lid on the R8. Then we have the air scoop there and the massive, massive wing. And finally, let's just have a quick look at Audi's aluminium space frame. This is how it distinguishes itself from cars like the Porsche 911, which are far more mundane than the R8, because this is aluminium. This doesn't really rust. When you look underneath an R8, it's like brand new. And here we have some composite panels as well. Yeah, so the engine sits here, the gearbox sits here. It is a very, very special car, and I think the world is slightly less good without the R8. But on the plus side, there are still loads of used ones out there, and they're not all that expensive. The plan to take Project RS4 back to the factory was hatched when I just acquired it, and back then, with its faulty engine and shabby paint, it seemed like an unachievable dream. However, all that work over the winter paid off, and the car lapped it up almost as if it was tired of being confined to our crowded UK roads and relished the opportunity to stretch its legs. In fact, it was so good that we decided to extend the journey and point its cherry black nose southbound to the Swiss Alps. This would also give me the chance to see how it performed on the twisties, because a good Audi RS needs to ace this, as well as the high-speed cruising it had already proved superbly capable at. As it was early March, the main Swiss passes were still closed due to snow, but our route to Interlaken took us on the Bruning Pass, which was enough to realise that this nearly 200,000 mile RS4 still had it. Welcome to the Brienz Lake near Interlaken in Switzerland. As you can see, the roads are really quiet, the weather is amazing, and the views are sensational. Well guys, that marks the end of Project RS4. It's now been completed, and to be honest, the car has exceeded my expectations, but it's time to move on to a new project and for new owner Nick to start enjoying the car. Thanks for watching this volkswizard video. Keep subscribing, keep commenting, and I'll see you for the next one very soon.